Do you want this?
Anyways, to have a YouTube.com.
I said, do you want this? If you want to transcend the game, you have to dig deep. Your mind and your body have to be in sync. Talent is how hard you're willing to work. No days off, no sleep. We grind. I'm never good enough. That's how great people think. So you're gonna have to ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice? This ain't a fucking game, man. This is everything. Do you want this? Are you willing to sacrifice everything? And show me.
Hello, 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 sustainers. Oh my goodness. When I tell you guys that if you just go along with this with the ride, you guys will understand why I'm taking you guys through this Diddy trial the way I'm taking you through it. And you if you just trust me on the way that I am doing my commentary on this trial, if you just trust me, then it'll all start to make sense. It'll all come together. And guess what? Came together today. So remember when I told you all that what, two or three, shoot, maybe even now 4 videos ago, that the prosecution was what they were really doing was is that they were revealing a sexual lifestyle that is prone to a lot of people who live the lifestyle, and that Diddy was practicing cuckold BDSM relationships, and that is what he was doing. And I stated to you all, I said the prosecution is playing a very dangerous game because they are presenting this sexual deviancy as one thing to try to nail him for um, charges that they need to lock him down into in order to get this RICO case. But they got several men up on that stand. And I told you all, I said, I don't know what the dynamic and the makeup is of the jury, but what I do know is that a lot of people are into certain things. Hold on, y'all. A lot of people are into certain things that they're getting very close to. You don't know what somebody else's sexual deviancy or sexual fetishes are, and you guys are up here pulling things out and trying to paint it some way. I said they'll mess around and have somebody that's practicing cuckolding right up in that jury and will find an issue with what they're saying. So today, after a lot of information and trying to find other resources, you guys, to pull together summaries and text of some of the testimony that's going on, and then putting that up against what's being reported on mainstream media. So I found a new resource to get our threads from off of X. And I'm going to share that person's information in just one moment. But you guys know how we do. I've got to get the backstream set up and everything. So give me a moment. Talk amongst yourselves while I do this. But baby, I was sitting up here listening because you guys, I wait till everything is over now and then I go pull what I need to pull. And I was listening to the testimony and I was just getting our stuff ready for tonight. And my ears perked up because if you weren't paying attention, it would have went right over your head. But because I've been talking about this for a while now, I said, there it is. It's finally come out. And it came out by Daphne Jane. She's the one that said it. And it was so interesting because she didn't say it when the prosecution was examining her. And we're going to talk about the contrast in her testifying when questioned by the prosecution and testifying once the defense got up to the plate. Hold on, I'm almost finished, y'all. You know it's just me. So hold on a second. I'm gonna put this. No, I'm gonna leave that. I'm dropping it over on the members forum in the What's the Verdict group. Okay, that's where it's gonna be. All right. All right, you guys. Done. Thank you for your patience. So there's a lot to get through, a whole lot, and so let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to give a shout out to, and let me pull it up, to the new resource that I found over on X. That so far, as of today, it was such a pleasure to follow this person's stream and their court reporting and the summarizing of testimony for today. I was just like, I don't know why. It was just like a breath of fresh air. Like I said, I still don't take anything away from Inner City Press, but I stand by what I said, that I feel like because he's getting so much attention drawn to his channel over on X, that and he's getting a lot more interaction, that either there's just something, there's a disconnect with what's going on with his feed. So here is, let me pull it up. All right, let me share my screen with this new content creator. And hold on, where is it? Right here. It's pulling up. Okay, so this is the new just as of today, this is the new channel that I found over on X. This is called P Diddy Trial Updates. It's up on the screen. The user's name is at Jewel Mancy. Go and follow this individual. I'm not sure the avatar represents the real person or not. I know mine's does, but I don't know. But it doesn't matter. This person has, just like I said, as of today, just being able to use their feed to get the content that we're going to go over tonight was so painless. Now, I will say this, I did have to like kind of navigate through it a little bit to kind of see what was going on, but once I figured out the puzzle, it was extremely less complicated than um going over to Inner City Press. So I follow this person or this avatar, this channel, whatever. This is an amazing platform if you want to get live updates of more deeper summaries of what's going on in the courtroom. Okay, let me get that off the screen. And let me do a. Okay, hold on, hold on. All right, so let me get that off the screen because we will be needing to pull up some pre-recorded stuff that I already did to get ready for our feed. So, actually, let me move that back over here. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Um, my day has been, uh, my day has been interesting, but I'm not complaining. Let me see. I think this is the one I want. Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, no complaints.
Just grateful for the help. Together,
Okay, let's
someone
see
he
here.
bought a
I
Chanel
think this
bag
is the
for.
one.
Before.
Yep, it is. Okay, perfect.
The lunch break.
So here's what we're going to do. So I am really loving the side by side of the mainstream media um, coverage, and then the reads of the summary. That could just say like it's summary testimony with a little more meat to it, as far as the thread. So I like the side by side thing that really works. It's a lot of reading, and so AI is doing the work for both of these. But the good thing is I get to stop it and make my commentary on it. Today I did it a little different. I know before I was toggling back and forth, like I was reading the tweets, and then I had AI reading the CNN, and then just comparing what they were doing. That was just too time consuming, you guys. So what I did today was I just set up everything for AI to read both parts of what we're going to go over, and then that way I can just stop the video and then commentate as each thing goes on. So we're going to first listen to what I think is a good fatty part of what took place today, and that's going to be the tweets that's provided by P Diddy trial updates, and I'm going to pull that up on the screen. But before I do need to get our disclaimers up here. Let's get our ticker up here. All right. So first and foremost, warning: this video contains triggering content from court document and trials. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-7233, or the Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-4673. If you or anyone you know or love is suffering from domestic violence or sexual assault, please call these resources. They have amazing people working on the other end of those phones to assist you in getting the information you need and the tools and resources that you will need, either for yourself or for your loved ones, to get you out of that situation and safely. So please give them a call. You do not have to suffer in silence, and you do not have to suffer alone. Okay. Now, with that being said, one last thing to know, all right? Because I never know where I'm going to share this content. I'm trying something different over on our platform, and so this might go up for the public. Here's another warning: this video contains mature content, explicit and vulgar language. We're real grown over here, okay? We do not need to use filler words or made up words when we are using the English language over here. Okay, so I am going to have words as they are used and to describe what they are for. And I can tell you right now, there's going to be some heavy sexual um, deviant conversation taking place to explain furthermore what's going on in this trial and what was exposed today, based off of something that I've been saying for maybe the past 2-3 weeks, honestly, about this case. When they started to introduce um, Sean Diddy Combs' sexual deviant behavior, I knew exactly what it was when I started to hear it, and I spoke on it unapologetically and put it on our timeline, so that when days like this comes, we already got it time stamped and covered, baby, of what it is. All right. All right. So let me get the video up here on the screen, because y'all know me. I love putting stuff on our timeline so that we ain't gotta catch up. We already ahead of the game. All right. It's loading. And then let me get that off of there. And then let me get our watermark, which was so much better. Such a better watermark. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So the way this is going to go is we're going to start from the right of your screen in the black window. That is going to be the tweets being read from this wonderful channel over here, or page over here on X, that is covering the information as well. Like I said, I will be stopping when I want to give commentary. And then once we're done with this, like I said, we're going to be here for a while, you guys. When we're done with this, then I will go over and kind of break down some of the additional kind of filler information that CNN reported, because they each add something to the story. Okay. This alone just going through this by itself is 50 minutes, okay? If I would just let this play by itself, me stopping and commentating on it is going to extend that. So just keep that in mind. So we will be taking a voice and water and bathroom break as we do. Okay. We'll be taking a mental health break as well as we go through some of this stuff because it's going to get a little deeper into um, sexual assault allegations as well. Okay. All right, you guys, take a deep breath and let's go.
P Diddy trial updates. Ed Mancy. USV. Sean Combs Day 20 Jane Doe still in the witness box. Updates and more coming up. P Diddy trial updates. Ed Mancy. June 9th.
Gonna be the
U.S. versus
tweet.
Sean P. Diddy Combs trial day 19 Jane Doe still on directx.com/JewelMancy/STA. 2. P. Diddy
Today
trial
marks
up the conclusion of Jane Doe's direct and the start of her cross. During yesterday's direct, she mentioned 3 key points: the nature of their relationship, the events leading to his assaulting her, his continued payment of her bills including lawyers' fees. 3. Defense. Your Honor, we move for a mistrial based on Ms. Bongolan's testimony, which we believe is demonstrably false and prejudices the case. Judge, I've reviewed the motion and the testimony in question. The motion for a mistrial is denied. The testimony does not warrant it. 4. AUSA, we request to recall our expert witness Dr. Hughes for further testimony to clarify points raised by the defense. Judge, Dr. Hughes has already provided her testimony. I see no basis for recalling her. The motion to recall is denied. AUSA reluctantly accepts the ruling. 5. Diddy.
Now I want to jump in there. I was surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised, but I was just like, they really tried it. It's like, listen, you can't try to go back and grab her to try to make a square fit in a triangle. It's done. It is. It's over. You guys should have been more on your game. Also, I already told you guys, and we knew this, that the motion for a mistrial was going to be definitely denied. We already discussed that in our last video, and I gave my commentary on why that was. In addition to that, I just kind of laughed a little bit to my side inside myself when it was like, oh, they were reluctantly accepting the ruling. You tried it, okay? You're not about to start moonwalking on water. That's what you're not going to do. All right, so let's go.
After 9 months in jail, is sporting gray hair and weight loss. He's been allowed to wear a light-colored shirt, trousers, and glasses. He's currently focused on the documents and tissues on the defense table. 6. Cross-examination begins. Judge, escort Jane in, then summon the jury. All rise. Judge, Ms. Garagos, you may begin your cross-examination. Combs Garagos, Jane, we've spoken before, but you chose to stop meeting with the defense, correct? Jane, yes, that's right. 7. Garagos, you're testifying against Mr. Combs, correct? Jane, am I testifying against him? Garagos, how many times were you prepped for cross in this trial? Jane, about 2 or 3 times. Garagos, did they bring in other prosecutors to practice crossing you? Jane, yes. 8. Garagos, Jane, you were granted immunity at the grand jury, correct? Jane, yes. Garagos, you expressed regret over some choices you made with Mr. Combs, didn't you? Jane, if you have that statement, I'd be happy to review it with you. 9. Garagos.
I want to jump in here real quick. You guys are going to notice a huge difference in the personality of Jane Doe now that the defense has the microphone. Now, just remember, I told y'all, I said, just wait until the defense gets up on the mic and we're going to see how her behavior is. And I can tell you right now what we won't see and won't hear. Number one, we won't hear any we're not going to hear any information provided in any of these particular resources about her needing to stop and cry and sobbing on the stand. And please keep in mind that she's still going to be talking about the same sexual deviant behavior she was involved in with Diddy, even through the defense. And at one point, they even grant her, not grant her, she asked for a break. Remember when the prosecution kept asking her if she needed any breaks and she was just like, I can push through while she was crying and breaking down? And then we had Armand Wiggins demonstrate to us exactly what all of that crying and breaking down was showing. Well, we are not going to get any of that. Any of that. Okay? So I just want to put that out there. Okay? So let's go.
You chose to stay in that lifestyle with Mr. Combs for years and didn't want to end the relationship, correct? Jane, yes, I didn't want to. Garagos, you were also involved with other men during that time? 10. Jane, I resented the emotional control he had over me. I was drawn in from the beginning, Garagos. You said there was pressure to perform acts your lover wanted? Jane, yes. Garagos, you repeatedly called Mr. Combs your partner during direct testimony, correct? Jane, yes. 11. Garagos, you mentioned struggling to explain why you had sex with those other men? Jane, yes, Garagos. You're currently in therapy? Jane, yes. Garagos, do you love Mr. Combs? Jane, I love spending time with my partner. Garagos, you wanted to cuddle with him? 12. Jane, yes, to give him foot rubs. You said, a USA Comey. Objection. Counsel is making herself a witness. 13. Jane, I enjoyed bathing him and watching his favorite show together. Garagos, what show was that? Jane, Dateline. Garagos, did you think he was only doing this with you? Jane, at that time, yes. Garagos, did you check his messages? Jane, yes. 14. Jane, in those hotel rooms, he was vulnerable, and I connected with that. It was tough. I broke my own boundaries to make him feel loved. Combs Garagos, so, this closeness bonded you two? Jane, yes, especially the intimacy afterward. That's what I cherished. 15. Combs Garagos, you aim to be sexy for him in those rooms? Jane, I believe I was next. Garagos, you're a beautiful woman. Did you pick the outfits? Jane, he chose them at first. Garagos, he enjoyed baby oil, found it arousing? Jane, yes. 16. Combs Garagos, how old were you when you began your relationship with Mr. Combs? Jane, 35. Garagos, can you describe the fantasy talk in those rooms? Jane, he'd have me in the entertainer role play, like a cheating scenario where Sean was out of town. 17. Combs Garagos, how high were the heels you wore? Jane, 6 to 7 inches, though I usually wear 3 to 4. Garagos, you wanted your child closer to their father. Did he see the child? Jane, what's that got to do with this? Cough 50-cent cough cough. 18. Garagos, did you fly weekly to Miami to
Wait, I just want to let you all know the the cough cough 50 cent, that's not something that took place at the trial. The defense didn't say that. That is the that is coming from the content creator behind this page.
see Mr. Combs? Jane, sometimes. Garagos, we heard 5 voice notes where Mr. Combs sounded angry, but he sent you thousands, correct? Jane, yes. Garagos, why did you see him as larger than life? Jane, he was a bright light. 19. Jane, he introduced me to the gospel. He had a favorite pastor he'd watch on TV. Garagos, has that stayed with you? Jane, yes, Garagos. Do you watch the pastor today? You say, objection, judge. Sustained Garagos. How much did he invest in your dress line? Jane, $20,000. 20. Garagos, why did you start an OnlyFans account? Jane, financial necessity. I'd stop if I could. Garagos, Mr. Combs supported you financially during the relationship. Over 3.5 years. Does $150,000 sound accurate? Jane, I'd say so. 21.
Now, I want to stop and jump in right now because I remember when I heard that number and I started thinking about that not including her rent and all the other stuff. This is just stuff that he just financially supported her through, right? I'm I, I'm thinking about as a virtual juror, I'm thinking about the people on that in that jury pool. Like, are they living in homes that they're paying 10,000 a month for? Or somebody's paying $10,000 a month for? Do they have someone that they can reach out to and just, wiring them money or giving them money? And then I really just kind of thought about it and I was just, you know what? $150,000. Um over a course of 3 years doesn't sound like a lot, but for someone who wasn't having that kind of resources, and for someone who we then find out that he invested $20,000 into her quote unquote dress line and swimwear. And remember when I showed you guys in shit 2, 3 videos ago how she is not over on Instagram being an ambassador, an influencer of nothing. Her website, she only got maybe 10 to 20 pieces, if that. I'm not sure what in the hell he spent $20,000 on, because, or what she told him he she needed it for, because the stuff that she's selling online is just repurposed stuff that she's buying from um from like a wholesale company, and then the markup on it is crazy. It's like something close to Fashion Nova. Okay, so when I heard that he had given her $20,000 for her quote unquote dress line, I said, where the hell did it go? It didn't go to the website, it didn't go to the merchandise, because she's drop shipping that shit for real. So anyway, I said, this is a lot. So for her to get 150,000 and not be investing money or saving some money, especially when we're going to find out that 50 Cent, listen y'all, 50 Cent was only paying her like $4,700 a month for child support. Whew. Honey, when I heard that, I said, this chick is really stuck on dumb. And no wonder she didn't want to let Diddy go. Because if you tell somebody that you got a baby with, like 50 Cent, is only paying you $4,700 a month. Did y'all hear what I said? $4,700 a month. Did 50 Cent go and pull up what the allowance was for someone on government assistance for a child? Did he go pull that up to see how much they're paying a month and then negotiate that with her? Because we've already heard that her negotiating skills are non existent. Okay. So, how in the world? She would have been better off taking 50 Cent to court, but because of her lifestyle and her past history, she didn't want her child taken away. So that's why that 4,700 a month for child support. Oh my goodness. So when Diddy came along and was like, I got you, she was like, no, I got you. I'm going to do everything I can to keep you, because I've never had nobody trick off on me like this. So that's how come she wasn't going nowhere. All right, let's continue.
Garagos, you told AUSA you're drawn to providers? Jane, yes, as a woman I appreciate that. Garagos, you referred to the house as our house? Jane, later, I saw it as my house. 22. Note that Jane has already testified that Diddy's love and affection led her to join hotel nights with Essex workers, breaking her own boundaries to satisfy him despite her personal struggles. 23. Combs Garagos, when you met Mr. Combs in 2020, you were earning money as an Instagram influencer, correct? Jane, yes. Garagos, and you were also receiving $4,700.
No, hold on a second. I'm jumping in here. I wish that they would make her prove that she was making any type of money that was sustainable from her quote unquote influencer deal on social media, because we looked at her social media page and we looked at Instagram, and it's not popping over there. And we also looked at the fact that there's nothing about her page that is promoting that she is a actual influencer. Now we can see that she's selling a thought for hire. That definitely is what she was selling and influencing, so people could get up in her DM boxes, but definitely not like she was trying to promote anybody's brand or anything of that nature. And I really, really would have loved for the defense to ask her, well, how much money were you making as an influencer prior to your relationship with Mr. Combs? Because she later is going to say how 10% of her earnings She only reached 10% of her potential earnings because she was spending so much time in this relationship. No, you got a new job. So that's what you were doing. Okay? You were working. You were getting paid. Anything outside of that would have been a side hustle, and you would have been like intelligent and a hustler to try to get some extra money while you were stacking up what he was giving you. All right, let's continue.
A month in child support? Jane, that's correct. 24. Garagos. Once you were with Mr. Combs, did your influencing work change? Jane, yes, I couldn't focus on it anymore. I felt like I only reached about 10% of my earning potential during our relationship. 15. Jane, when I moved into the new home in April 2023, I thought if we got a place that meets Sean's taste, maybe we could just start doing the hotel nights here in the privacy of our own home. Garagos, so you and Mr. Combs wanted to keep these hotel nights private? 16. Jane, yes. It was really important that nothing about the hotel nights got out. We didn't want the public to know, or even his employees to know about the entertainers. Garagos, had you done hotel nights at your previous apartment? Jane, yes, we had. 17. Garagos, so, one of the reasons you got the house was for that, and so your son could have a yard? Jane, could you please say my child instead? Defense trying to dox her? 18. Garagos.
So again, that's not in brackets. That's a side commentary that the content creator is having. So again, even though I only heard one person saying this, that the defense was on board with her having her identity withheld, and I would imagine that basically they're just like, whatever she wants to do, just let her do it, right? Because Diddy is not going to sit up here and be paying for her attorney and trying to really, tear her down on the stand as well, because everything his attorneys are saying is through his voice, is through the information he's feeding them, and they're just putting it in a beautiful legal way of presenting it in that courtroom. So when the when the defense attorney goes, your son, and the reason why she gets so defensive, can you just please say my child, is because again, she still thinks that her being in that courtroom is somehow still protecting her, that everyone doesn't know who the fuck she is. And so she just feels like, oh, you're adding another block to my identity being exposed by now identifying that I have a child. Girl, we've been put Terrence Howard's math together and got 1+1, and we knew that 50 Cent was your father, and we knew who you are. So her referring to your son, to me, is either very smart little way of chipping away at her um her demeanor on the stand, which is like a real low, like to the body shop, or just like one of them quick ones, like pop, 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 you know, but still a way to start like chipping at her psyche a little bit. Um, and then she goes, well, can you just, please say my child? Well, it's already on the record that we know you have a son. Okay. So, I mean, just roll with it. Just roll with it, girl.
I'm showing the jury some of your text and audio messages with Mr. Combs from March 2023, right after the Turks and Caicos trip. You testified earlier that during that trip, he surprised you with an entertainer and a hotel night, which caused an argument? 19. Jane. Yes. It really upset me, and it affected us for a few days. Garagos. But in the messages you two exchanged afterward, you both sounded affectionate. Mr. Combs told you he loved you? Jane. Yes, in a voice note. 20. Garagos. He also mentioned something about a contract. What was that? Jane. He was referring to our love contract. After we agreed on it, he rented me a home for $10,000 a month. Garagos. And your recorded message back to him. Would you say you sounded happy? 21. Jane. Yes. I told him I had so much fun on the trip, that I loved him, and felt closer to him. Garagos. You said, everything just feels good, and I'm so happy. Jane. That's right. I did have fun with him. 22. Jane. I was expressing love for the time we spent together, except for the part involving the entertainers. When I moved into my rented home in April 2023, Sean paid $40,000 up front to cover the security deposit and the rent for the first month and the last month. 23. Garagos. The landlord already possessed several months of rent payments in case Combs ever decided to stop paying the rent, correct? Jane, yes. Garagos. Did Combs indicate that he was also open to paying 3 more months of your rent, even though you were about to break up? 24. Jane. Yes, Garagos. Did you ever believe Mr. Combs would stop paying your rent? Jane. There were some times that I definitely felt that he would do that, and he used it kind of like a little tool. The rent was always just like a little reminder.
And let me tap in here real quick. But see, when you were under the prosecution, right, you have testified that you were afraid to not give him what he wanted, or he was going to stop paying your rent, that he was going to take the roof from over your head. And make no mistake about it. To me, I don't think that the jury is falling for that shit at all, because if you were able to find a means of taking care of yourself, especially since we know you wasn't making no money on child support, you definitely wasn't living off of child support. So if you was only getting 4,700 from 50 cents a month, we know that was just to cover food. Okay, maybe a light bill, maybe that. But then you definitely had to go and seek other financial means to earn a living. But like I already told you all, she was already a girlfriend for hire. She just wasn't a sex worker for hire before until she met Diddy. But with more responsibility comes a higher paycheck. And so at the end of the day, I just started to kind of chuckle to myself where when we hear how much Curtis was paying her for his child, for to make sure his child was good. Okay. Um hmm, she had the gall to ask Diddy for 15,000 a month. And he said, "No, I'll give you 10,000 a month." Honey, the nerve, the nerve. Okay. So at the end of the day, she just said, "Oh, well, yeah, he even when he was threatening to break up with me, he still had said he would pay up 3 months in advance. So he was gonna give you 3 G's to give you 3 months to figure out how to pay that 10 G's off on your own, giving you not even putting you out, just saying, look, I got you. And then plus we hear the landlord, in addition to the 3 months he was gonna pay, that the landlord also had additional rents paid in advance. What? This is like, y'all don't let that go over your head, because her whole testimony these past few days was, I was doing the freak offs and I was having these sex parties because he was going to take my home away from me. He was paying for my rent and holding it over my head, and so I felt like I had to do it. That's number one. Number two, if the only way I could spend time with my lover, my partner, was if I did these freak offs. Well, that's a choice. That's a choice then. That's a choice. Okay, let's continue.
25. Garagos. Can you confirm the conversation you had with Mr. Combs regarding your financial situation? Jane. Yes. He asked me, you need 3 months rent? I told him I was struggling a bit. Garagos. And what happened after that conversation? 26. Jane. I confronted him later about some things, and then, out of the blue, he sent me $20,000. Garagos. Was this money solicited by you in any way? Jane. No, I didn't ask for it. It was completely unsolicited. Garagos. And how did you use the $20,000 Mr. Combs sent you? 27. Jane. I used it to buy some nice furniture for my place. Garagos. The court heard you sent Mr. Combs a text after receiving the money. Can you describe that message? Jane. I texted him to say thank you and called him baby. I was just grateful for the help. 28. Garagos. So, to clarify, you expressed gratitude and used an affectionate term, correct? Jane. Yes.
So let me jump in here real quick. So she's been bitching. She's been on this stand telling you guys how she was bitching and complaining about he wasn't doing for her what he was doing for these other women, how he was spending time with them and making it public with them. But we also are hearing now that when she asked him for things, he sent it to her. She, she tried to make it seem like um Well, here's the thing. Her whole issue was they weren't public, but then she tried to make it seem like he was taking them on these excursions and buying them things and taking them on shopping sprees and things. But then he was keeping us secret. But in the meantime, he is sitting there paying $10,000 a month for your rent. Based on you wanting to be in a sex worker contract with him, number one. Number two, he's then giving you extra expenditures for you to pay for stuff because you are mishandling your money. He gave you $20,000 and you went and spent it on furniture. Now I'm a little confused here because a couple of testimonies ago, and it seems like a lot of the things that they're asking her seems like it's regurgitated, which I find hilarious because the prosecution put a whole motion with regards to when Cassie was on the stand. They put a whole paragraph in one of their motions because they were telling the judge that the defense was trying to prolong and drag out the questioning of Cassie, and that they needed to wrap it up because she was getting ready to go into labor any day now, and that they were wasting the jury and the court's time by asking repetitive questions. Well, I know that I've listened to a lot of Daphne Jane's information, but the prosecution is definitely regurgitating things because she's repeating things identically, verbatim to certain questions they've been asking her. So it's like, oh, so you really are a trained actress. Okay, girl, you really have studied the script. No problem. Kudos for that. But she tried to make it seem like she was just getting freaks off and he was just paying her rent. But my whole thing was, first of all, for you to go and pick a home where he had to pay 10,000 a month for you, you was already living outside of your means. You just should have got a little smaller place, okay? And then that way when he was giving you 10,000, you could have had something left to the side, plus all the other money he was giving you. Can you imagine being a juror and listening to the fact that this chick is up here saying that she had somebody paying a $10,000 and for a rental. Girl, you didn't even think enough to find you a rental own or to have him help you to buy some property, build you something. Girl, you could have got a spot in Atlanta and had you a mansion by now paid off and everything, okay? But this just to me as a virtual juror, I'm like this chick didn't even know what to do with the money that she had that was coming from this dude. So again, she didn't really know what she was doing because clearly the previous men that she's been in these type of contracts with really lowballed her, and she just was just happy to go on some vacations and to be taking photos and stuff. And this is how you know he kept her around and kept playing her the way he did was because what she was requesting, she had a low bar for herself. She was low vibrational already when he found her. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, she didn't even know how to bargain. And that's why she could not stand, couldn't stand Young Miami, because my Young Miami, when she got presented with what do you want, she gave him a list and said, "This is not only what I want, but if you want to move forward, this is what I got to have, and don't try to lowball me. This is what I want. Take it or leave it, because I can still go do what I need to do, no problem." And Diddy gave her what she wanted. So anyway, let's continue.
That's right. 29. Garagos. The court heard a voicemail from Mr. Combs where he referred to you as crack pipe. Can you explain what he meant by that nickname? Jane, it was just a playful thing from our trip to Turks and Caicos. We had a lot of fun, and he gave me that nickname. 30. Jane, crack pipe. Well, he said he had an addiction to my texts. It was mutual, just fun banter. Garagos, and how did you respond to this voicemail from Mr. Combs? 31. Jane, I texted him back, something like, crack pipe is so real for the both of us. It's definitely mutual. I just like everything you said. I am so thankful. I had so much fun. Turks was absolutely incredible. I am so happy. 32. Garagos. So, your response was positive, expressing gratitude and enthusiasm about the trip and the nickname? Jane, yes, exactly. I was just happy and having fun with it. The trip was amazing, and I wanted him to know I appreciated it. 33. Garagos. To confirm, this exchange was lighthearted and reflected a mutual enjoyment of the time you spent together? Jane. Yeah, it was all in good fun. We were just joking around and enjoying the vibe from the trip. 34. Garagos. You mentioned things changed when Mr. Combs started spending time with young Miami? Jane. Yes. It became difficult for me, about 6 months to a year after we started dating. Garagos. What made it difficult? 35. Jane. Their relationship was very public. They posted about each other all over social media. Meanwhile, mine with him was very private. Garagos. How did that make you feel? 36. Jane. It wasn't what I signed up for. I didn't agree to date a man who was in a public relationship with someone else. Garagos. You testified about a trip to Miami.
Wait, but hold on. She contradicts herself, and I hope that the jury is paying attention. So you met him through your friend who took you as a third wheel to an event and couldn't wasn't even there a whole full day before you started already picking up on her man, which was Diddy at the time. Okay. That's how you got him. So then he tells you throughout her own testimony that he has an open relationship. He don't belong to nobody. He's into these freak offs. This is what he like to do. If you want to be into his world, then this is what it is he needs. And you stuck around. And you also testified that you didn't have a taking her all out, dressing her all up, making her look pretty, buying her what she want, taking her out for the shopping sprees and having it all out in the public, you lost your mind. We have yet to hear her talk about how she didn't like Gina, how she didn't care for the way he was doing Gina, because Gina was a freak off worker as well. All right, let's go.
Miami when you were still getting to know Mr. Combs. Can you describe what happened during that trip? 37. Jane. Yes, we were in Miami, and he bought me a pair of shoes, a Bottega Veneta bag, and a bracelet. Garagos. During this trip, did Mr. Combs discuss his lifestyle with you? Jane. Yes. He explained that he led a polyamorous dating lifestyle. 38. Garagos. And how did you react to that explanation at the time? Jane. At first, I didn't mind. We were just getting to know each other, so it wasn't a big deal to me then. Garagos. But your feelings changed over time? 39. Jane. Yes, as I developed deeper feelings for him, it became difficult. I was feeling my man and wanted him to be mine. Garagos. You also mentioned feeling there was an imbalance in how Mr. Combs treated you compared to his other girlfriends. Can you elaborate? 40. Jane. I just felt like the way he treated me wasn't the same as how he treated some of the other women he was seeing. It felt unequal. Garagos. So, to clarify, your concerns about the imbalance arose as your emotional attachment to Mr. Combs grew? 41. Garagos. Let's talk about your first trip to Turks and Caicos. What did you observe about him? Jane. On the flight, I noticed his hands were shaky, his eyes and teeth looked off, and even his coloring seemed unhealthy. I could tell he wasn't taking very good care of himself. 42. Garagos. Did you
Wait, I want to jump in here real quick. Remember when I showed you guys that photo of him and Cassie when I said he's been trying to mold her into looking like J Lo, and we talked about my theory of why I felt he beat Cassie and treated her that way. Well, remember I showed you the photo. I said, look at his teeth. Remember I told you I said he look at that hole in his teeth, and he was so you could see he was so drugged out and just looking crazy. Like his teeth weren't all bright. You could see they were yellow and almost looking like they were chalky, right? And the thing that people don't realize is that these are not their natural teeth. So it's not coming from the calcium and the nutrients or whatever in their body. These are veneers. So when you're sitting up here doing all these drugs, all of that is going into the chemical that's already being made from these veneers. And he was so drugged out, was literally sitting up here just smiling just from ear to ear, looking like a whole crackhead and a whole drug addict. And people in the industry know what that looks like. They knew what he was, but they couldn't say nothing to him because he was still he's a functioning drug addict, right? A functioning drug addict. And He had power and money, and they wasn't gonna say, "Hey, yo, Diddy, yo, your veneers are rotting out, dude. Like, you might wanna go get that fixed, right?" So, but nobody said nothing to him. But here she is talking about she noticed that there was discoloration in his teeth and his eyes and everything else. Yeah, because he's slowly killing himself.
Suggest anything to him? Jane. Yes, that he considered going to a rehab center in Thailand. Garagos. So, you knew early on he was a drug addict? Jane. In the beginning, I didn't really know how to label it. I just saw someone who was overdoing the partying. 43. Garagos. But later on? Jane. As our relationship went on, I started noticing a very strong pattern. I still didn't call it addiction at the time. Now, I'd say he was a drug addict. But back then, I just thought he was a really big party guy. 44. Garagos. Did you know if he was on any prescription medication? Jane. Toward the end of our relationship, I found out he was taking antidepressants. Garagos. And you wanted him off drugs? Jane. Yes. I wanted him to return to his natural form. 45. Jane. He even told me once that he was interested in trying.
And I just want to jump in here real quick. She says, I wanted him to return to his natural form. Well, let's be very clear. When she met him, she didn't know anything about what his natural form was. She doesn't know what he was before she met him. Well, we know now, okay, that he was already a drug addict. He was a drug addict with Cassie. He had this sexual deviant sex addiction. He had all of these things already for years. He was with Cassie for 11 years. He's been that drug addict, all right? Functioning drug addict. So for her to say, I just wanted him to return to his natural form, how would you know? You are dysfunctional and a sexual deviant as well. How are you sitting up here trying to get him help and you ain't even trying to help yourself so that you could raise your son? Okay, let's continue.
Ketamine therapy. The judge calls for a break, and the jurors leave. Janice Combs, Diddy's sister, and two sons are seated in the row behind him. 46. Attorney Mark Garagos is also in court, seated in one of the defense rows. He watched as his daughter, Tinny Garagos, questioned Jane. 47. They're back. Cross-examination to resume shortly. Sean Combs had been conferring with his lawyers throughout the break. 48. Garagos. Ms. Jane, would you agree that you willingly participated in the so-called hotel nights? Jane, at the time, yes. I felt I had to keep the relationship. Garagos, but no one forced you to take part? Jane, not physically, no. 49. Garagos, and you were aware that Mr. Combs practiced a polyamorous lifestyle? Jane, he told me early on, yes. Garagos, yet you chose to stay in the relationship for quite some time? Jane, I did. My feelings for him grew deeper. 50. Garagos, and during this time, he supported.
Now, wait, I want to jump in here real quick because now keep in mind, she told us in her previous testimony with the prosecution that very early in their relationship, she fell head over heels for him and that they had already started using the L word with each other. Okay. So now you want us to tell us that once he started to continue to tell you about, I did whoever I want. We heard it in the recordings that they played. I'm single. Get on your job. You bitching too much. Like, come on, let's go. Right? And she goes, my feelings for him grew deeper. But how much deeper can you get? Because you'd already said that very early on, within weeks of dating him, because he was love bombing her ass. And again, she had never had one of her other contract holders to do what he was doing for her, and he knew it. Um, you was already talking about you loved him. So what you mean growing deeper? No, 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 no. What she meant to say was that she was starting to get more and more used to this lifestyle that he was giving her. Even if you take out the sex parties, which I'm gonna get into that as well. When you get out of the sex parties, and you think about just how he was like lavishing her, maybe not the way that she wanted, but she got what she asked for. Like, I mean that literally. He asked her what she wanted, he negotiated with her, and she decided that instead of taking that $10,000 a month and applying it and doing what she needed to do to get her money up, she said, "No, I want to put it towards a nice spot. So I want to get a home. Not even a home to own, y'all, but a rental. A rental for 10,000 a month, living out of her damn means." All right, you guys, let's go.
Did you? Paid your rent, gave you gifts, covered expenses? Jane. Yes, he did all of that. Garagos. Would you say he was kind and generous at times? Jane. Yes, he could be very generous. 51. Garagos. So your relationship, though complicated, had moments of affection and mutual agreement? Jane. It did, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt or feel controlling. 52.
Well, let's talk about a little reality here. People who don't have the type of money that Diddy has have these same type of problems. Okay? Got these same type of problems. When you're talking about, yeah, it was complicated, it had moments of affection and but mutual agreement, but it doesn't mean it didn't hurt or feel controlling. We know just regular old dudes controlling women with no money and no job, just good dick game, okay? Good hustling game, okay? Pretty looking dudes, that women with low self esteem will take on and latch on to because they don't know what their worth is. And so now they're like, well, I got to stay with him for whatever I got to do because he's the best thing that's ever happened to me. This is what Diddy was for her. He was the best thing that had happened to her, and she had to pay the price, and she was willing to by all means necessary to keep him, just period, just period.
Garagos. During the hotel nights, did you and Mr. Combs spend time alone together? Jane, yes. We'd usually have about 30 minutes to an hour alone before the entertainer came, and some time afterward too. Garagos. And how did you feel about that alone time? 53. Jane. I actually enjoyed it, especially when we made love. That part felt intimate. Garagos. So he gave you the attention you were seeking? Jane. Yes. He gave me the affection I wanted during those nights. Garagos. Was that typical of him? 54. Jane, no. He wasn't generally that affectionate, but on those nights, he was the most affectionate. Garagos. Were red lights and baby oil only used during the hotel nights? Jane. No, they weren't exclusive to those nights. Garagos. Where else were they used? 55. Jane. He used them during our other sexual encounters, even in his private residence. Garagos. Were you aware that the hotel nights were being filmed? Jane. Yes, I was okay with it. Garagos. And Mr. Combs told you the videos were just for the two of you? 56. Jane. That's what he said. Garagos. You put on a good show for him in these videos because you knew he would watch them again? Jane, yes. 57. Garagos. Isn't it true that you enjoyed rewatching the hotel night videos with Mr. Combs? Jane. No. I did not like that part. Garagos. But you still did it? Jane. Yes. It was just a part of the relationship. Something I tolerated, even if it made me uncomfortable. 58. Tinny Garagos tells the judge that she may pause Jane's cross at 3 p.m. today to give the jurors a break. She'll pick up again on Wednesday and continue through Thursday. The main goal here is to complete Jane's cross by the end of Thursday. 59. Garagos. Let's talk about the hotel nights. What was your understanding of why Mr. Combs wanted them? Jane. They were driven by his desires. I'd label it as cuckold, a man being turned on by watching his woman having sex with another man. That term was spot on.
So I told y'all weeks ago, I said Diddy is a cuckold. I'm so glad we have it recorded and on the timeline. I told y'all, I was like, he is a cuckold. This is the lifestyle that he likes, but he's just doing it on a bigger baller level. Okay, I already told you guys this is a whole BDSM lifestyle, and for some people, it's even past BDSM. For some people, it's just a lifestyle. They don't see it as a fetish, they see it as a way of life. Okay, because there are certain men who sexually cannot please their wives or girlfriends, and they purposely go and get women who are out of their league, and what they do is they financially get them dependent and allure them with their financial ability to do things for them. And a lot of times they don't even really be like balling like that, but they might have a decent type of job where they will just pay bills, pay rent, pay everything off. And they like feeling like, in most of these cases, they like the feeling of being belittled, but they also enjoy the fact, what did I tell you guys? To use these other men as sexual surrogates. And I told you that is exactly what Diddy was doing. And I said it's really playing a very dangerous game with the prosecution, opening up this lifestyle to people, not knowing who's on that jury pool, not knowing if there's some men up on that jury pool that are cuckolds. It's a very popular thing. It's more popular than people realize. And I said they're playing a dangerous game. Well, today, Daphne Jane told y'all that he was a cuckold. But now here's the difference, though. Here's the difference. With Cassie, I felt that for him, it was more of a cuckold seriously, because that was really his girlfriend. That was his girlfriend. So to watch her having sex with other men while he was in the corner handling his business, right? And that's what they do. That's what cuckolds do. They go and please themselves, okay? While they're watching their girlfriends who are hot and sexy with other hot, sexy men having sex with them because they can't physically satisfy them. And I told you all, I said he is doing this because he is not that man in the bedroom. Now I know this woman is on the stand talking about how much she loved wanting to be with him and how much she loved their intimacy and having sex with him. But again, um, his energy for her was going to fulfill what he couldn't do for her physically. So she would, and again, she was so high on so many different drug cocktails. I told y'all the reason why Diddy was giving all these women all these sexual enhancement drugs was to build them up, to make them think that the experience that he was having with them was out of body experience, when if they were all sober, they would realize he was a horrible lay. He wasn't putting it down like that. He wasn't that dude in the bedroom, despite his massive energy and his influence in his pocketbook. I told y'all that. Bigger than his wallet. So now we got it on court record. I told y'all, if you just let me get into this conversation about what's going on in this trial, I knew it was going to make some of y'all feel uncomfortable, but if you just hang in there with me, it was going to make sense. I didn't realize that they was going to actually put it on the court record that he was having cuckold fetish fantasies, but there it is. Now with her, he wasn't being no cuckold with her. What he was doing was, for her, he was still engaging in cuckold behavior, but in a way in which it was way more sadist than anything. For her, it was more like she was replacing Cassie. That's all it was. She was replacing Cassie. And the emotional part of it wasn't there for him. Like, I really do believe with Cassie, he really wholeheartedly wanted to, like, he really felt like, this is my woman, and these men are facilitating something I can't do. For her, he was just filling that void. Remember, I told you guys, I said it's like when you first get your first hit of a good drug, or you get your first taste of an amazing meal, or you get your first whatever, you bust your first real orgasm, you keep chasing that, and you're never going to get that same high, but you're trying to get it, so you'll keep chasing it and chasing it and chasing it. And that's what he was doing. He was still chasing it high. But the only reason why she was sticking around is because she was really honestly into this shit. And I'm not trying to say she was into it because of what her ethnicity is or anything like that, but I am going to put this on record. I'm going to put this on record right now. She is Filipino. Okay. And all I got to do is just tell y'all, go search about Filipino women cuckolds, and you will see that that is something they are taught to do. especially because a lot of these women are offsprings or got some type of something from when all the military men went over there and was basically just taking over